Okay, what up, Kings fans? Kidd-Gilchrist here, and this video is going to be about the NBA draft lottery, which takes place tomorrow, where we'll be finding out like what number the Kings will pick in the 2012 NBA draft, which takes place on June 30th. Now, what position or who should we draft? Well, at the shooting guard position, we already have Tyreek and Marcus Thornton, who could both also play the small forward. I don't think we'd really need a shooting guard or a small forward unless we end up trading one of those two. Who I'd trade Marcus Thornton before I'd trade Tyreek. But the only way I could see us taking a shooting guard or small forward is if that happens. The point guard position. Last year we took Jimmer Fredette, 10th overall as our first pick. But he ended up being outplayed by Isaiah Thomas, also a point guard, who was the last pick of the draft. Also, at the center position, we already have DeMarcus Cousins, one of the few true centers left in the NBA. But the power forward position, Jason Thompson's a free agent, even though we have the right to match an offer sheet with him. Like if he says he wants to sign somewhere, we can match an offer sheet if we offer more money than the team that offers him. Who else? Yeah, so I'd say probably if we were to take anything, we should take a power forward. There's some pretty good power forwards in this year's class, like Anthony Davis, Thomas Robinson, Jared Sullinger. But the only possibility of us getting Anthony Davis is if we luck out and get the number one pick, which we'll have to find out about tomorrow. Well, we have the fifth worst record in the league, so So the chances are pretty high. I mean, that's happened a number of times. And there's only been 3 times out of 18 years when the team with the worst record ended up winning the draft lottery. But I think the player who would help the Kings out the most out of all the players in this year's draft would have to be Thomas Robinson out of Kansas. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be better than Anthony Davis. I'm just saying he'd help the Kings out more. Well, the only post move you'll ever see Anthony Davis do is when he backs down the defender and pivots. It's the only post move you'll ever see Anthony Davis do, but you still gotta think about the fact that he's still growing into his body. Just 2.5 years ago, he was only 6'3", and he was a point guard. So he's still growing into his body, but that would be the only post move you would ever see Anthony Davis do. Last year, Thomas Robinson's a lot more coordinated now. He went through a lot of adversity last year. When his sophomore year, he lost his mom and both his grandparents within the span of 3 weeks. Then, as a junior, he finally became a starter after Kansas lost the Morris brothers. And he was a runner-up for the Player of the Year award, and he helped lead Kansas to the championship game. Now, who else is there? Like I said earlier, we don't really need a small forward unless we end up trading either Tyreek or Marcus Thornton. But there's Harrison Barnes from North Carolina. A lot of people are saying he's going to go to the Kings, but from his outside game, he's pretty talented. A lot similar to Carmelo from the outside, but I'm not very satisfied with his inside game. He definitely needs a lot of improvement with his inside game. There's also Michael Kidd-Gilchrist from Kentucky. He was my favorite college basketball player last year. But him being at the small forward along with Tyreek, that just sounds kind of awkward how they're like the exact same type of player. They're both get to the basket wing players. Even though I'd say Kidd-Gilchrist is more of a forward, Tyreek more of a guard, even though he can also play the forward. Who else? There's also Bradley Beal from Florida. Has the exact same birthday as me, but the way with his game style, he sounds almost perfect for the NBA, except for one thing that makes him not. his height. He's 6'4", which is in the NBA. It's kind of an awkward height for a shooting guard. It's more 6'6", 6'7", occasionally 6'5" for an average NBA shooting guard, but 6'4", just for the NBA, that's kind of a weird height. And like I said earlier, the only way we'd get Bradley Beal is if we trade one of the two. But Bradley Beal, I'd say, could also end up being the best player in this year's draft. One more guy who I'll mention is Jared Sullinger. In our last year, he was being projected to be the #1 draft pick over Kyrie Irving and Derrick Williams until he decided to stay in the college because of the impending NBA lockout, which ended up happening. But he gained a lot of weight between his freshman and sophomore seasons. He had nowhere close to season last year as he did his freshman year at Ohio State. But just because he had one bad season doesn't mean he's not going to have an NBA career. But if the Kings end up not drafting one of those 6 guys, I wouldn't be very. I mean, I'd be pretty shocked. But the only way that could happen is if the Kings end up falling and end up drafting like 7th or 8th. But I'm going to make a part 2 of this video tomorrow after the draft lottery when we all find out like what number the Kings are going to be selecting. Keep your fingers crossed, Kings fans, that we get the #1 or 2 pick. We've had some pretty rough seasons ever since Mike Bibby left. But we've been rebuilding, and hopefully we can be a playoff team by next year with this lottery pick. And stay tuned to my channel. Follow me, Cute as O'Calley, and that's it.